Now, if you hate those dark evenings when the clocks go back, you're not alone. Our next guest is the Sussex man who hates them so much that he thinks we should stick with British summertime all year round. He's even called for the public to refuse to alter their clocks. His name is Chris Snowdon and he joins us now. Thank you so much for coming in, Chris. I think one of your main arguments about sticking with British summertime is that it would save us energy. Can you explain how that would work?
Yeah, I mean, take, for example, football matches. You go to football, 3 o'clock on a Saturday, in the middle of winter, they put the floodlights on at half time. You know, last winter in particular, everybody was doing everything they could try and save money. They're incredibly expensive. People basically use more energy in the evening than they do in the mornings. That's the point. So, yeah, there is an economic argument to this with the energy in particular. There
is an argument, though, that actually people might turn their lights on in the morning and then leave them all day. So, actually, it won't help at all when it comes to
I don't think they would do that. I mean, they don't do that at the moment, as far as I know. So I don't think that's
you don't think that's?
I think that's a spurious criticism of a very sound campaign.
You want to change the time zone, so it's British summertime all year round. Why don't you just say, let's just get up a bit earlier, start the day a bit earlier, and change your own habits?
Well, that's what people who support GMT all year round say, is, well, just get up a bit earlier. Well, I mean, realistically, you've got to have time in a civilised society so people do things at the same time. You've got, the train timetables, you've got TV schedules and so on. And the reason that we have BST, British Summertime, in the first place is because it actually works better for the vast majority of people, I would argue, particularly in terms of well-being. Everyone's going to feel miserable. That first day, when the clocks go back and suddenly it's gloomy, you think, oh, God, it's basically winter now. And then when they go forward in March, which takes far too long, by the way, even if you believe in changing the clocks. It's 13 weeks after the shortest day rather than the 7 weeks ahead, which we're doing this weekend. Everyone feels better. So let's just feel better all the time. I accept it won't make a big difference right in the depths of winter, but it does make a big difference. It will make a big difference in March and indeed November.
Let's feel better all the time is quite a good slogan for the campaign, isn't it?
Daylight robbery is the slogan.
Oh, very good. I hear you've been doing hashtag not on my watch as well.
Yes. This is the civil disobedience that may eventually be necessary. They can't force us to change our clocks. I just say, let's keep with it.
Will you actually change your clock?
If enough people will come with me on this, yeah. I mean, it's a bit pointless me doing.
You couldn't do it by yourself, because you wouldn't be able to meet up with people for drinks.
I'm not a complete crackpot, So I need to get millions of people behind me, and at that point, we can start living our own lives and wait for the rest to join us.
They did trial this before, didn't they, in the late 1960s? I think we've got some pictures that we can show you. This is footage. It shows children in high-vises going to school, high-vis vests, and postmen and builders going to work in the dark. And I think at the time they decided actually that it was a little bit dangerous. There was concern about children being hit by cars when they're walking to school in the morning in the dark.
Well, it was the early risers who always seem to get their way in this country. They didn't like it, and so they came up with, again, spurious arguments against it. The milkmen didn't like it, the postmen didn't particularly like it, and there were concerns about kids.
Well, what about those people then?
Well, we don't have milkmen anymore, do we, really? Postmen turn up in the middle of the day, and kids get driven to school or go on the bus. And actually, the Royal Society for Prevention of Accidents is all in favour of what I'm saying around the year British summertime, because actually the number of road traffic injuries and deaths fell by 12% during that experiment. And you do get a spike, actually, every October when you put the clocks back in road traffic accidents. So there's a health and safety aspect to this, there's an energy-saving aspect to this, and there's a general consumer well-being aspect to it. It seems to me cut and dried.
Is this easy to say? As a South East resident, we all live in the South East. What about for those people in Scotland, poor people? Yeah,
it would be a bit rough if you're in the Highlands of Scotland, but let's be honest, it's pretty rough in the middle of winter in the Highlands of Scotland regardless. It's not the place to live if you want to have lots of sunshine and light. So yeah, it's gloomy a lot of the time up there. There's not a lot we can do about that. Most of the people up there are farmers. They can wake up when they want. The animals will still wake up at the same time. So I don't think the vast bulk of people who live in the south of England should be sacrificed.
I'll tell you what, you're lucky this is just going out in the south of England.
They can't
I don't think that would go down well in Scotland, would it? Of course, you're from the Institute of Economic Affairs, which is a right-leaning free market think tank. Anti-regulation is your thing. How does that play in here? I mean, should we all actually just not be adhering to time zones anyway?
everybody just do what they want.
Yeah.
Well, again, we're not so deregulatory that we think that everybody should just set their clocks to whatever they want. There isn't really a deregulation angle to this. There is, as I said, something of an economic angle. I think there would be savings certainly on energy. That's why America's looking at it, by the way. Their Sunshine Protection Act, a wonderful piece of legislation, wonderful title at least for a piece of legislation. There are economic angles to this. It's not really a sort of libertarian or deregulatory issue. It's just my own little pet project.
Your pet project. Jeremy, are you going to join Chris's campaign?
Charlotte, I love this programme. I love coming on this programme. I love talking about good bits of politics. You kindly informed me a couple of days ago about this subject, and I've been trying since then to build up a head of steam of interest in it, and I'm afraid I've failed. I just don't say that. Well, Chris is a lovely guy, and we've had a lovely conversation, and I've already pre-warned him that actually this isn't a big subject for me, and I don't really have any views on it. I think probably what you get at the beginning of the day, you lose at the end.
If you haven't got views, we'll move on. Sean, tell us what you think.
Well, I have a lot of sympathy for a lot of these arguments, particularly the energy saving. It would blunt the afternoon peak. It would mean that we can decommission more of the sort of base load from the grid. I do worry that there may be an issue in the mornings with children travelling to school in particular with the extra darkness. But if it comes along with extra measures to create safe routes for children to walk and cycle to school, more buses, then it would be, on balance, a very good thing, I think.
Maybe a Green Party policy.
I think it might already be somewhere in our policies. It certainly gets discussed at European level. I think the Europeans are making some plans along these lines as well.
Oh, well,
if I can just chip in on this thing about the kids going to and from school. I mean, in the middle of winter, either they come back from school in the dark or they go to school in the dark. The thing with kids is they will tend to wander around and go down the playground and do things after school in a way they don't when they're going to school. So actually there's more risk in the evening.
That's a good thing. I want the measures for children to get safely to school anyway.
I'm invested.
Jeremy's invested. We will move on just as we've got Jeremy on board. Thank you very much, and thanks so much for coming in, Chris.